Okay, so welcome, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very first virtual information session for FailSafe-ERA. My name is Juanita Shanks, and I am the founder and CEO of FailSafe-ERA, where our mission is to foster positive change in the lives of individuals impacted by incarceration. So I'm going to share my screen and again, our mission is to foster positive change in the lives of individuals that have been impacted by incarceration. Tonight, we will be sharing with you who we are, what we do, and how you can join us. I will give an overview, then you will hear from the other leadership team that will be talking about their areas and some of the programs and activities in their areas. I would ask that you would please jot down any questions that you may have, and we will allow some time at the end of the presentation to answer all of those questions for you. I would also ask that if you all could remain on mute until or unless you are speaking or asking a question. Thank you so very much. FailSafe-ERA is an all-volunteer organization, and we have our team is comprised of a 13-member governance board, leadership team, case managers, support volunteers, all focusing on development and marketing, reentry, ministry, resources, outreach, and family support. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we serve individuals who live in Planning District 16 and the surrounding communities. We work very closely with other community organizations such as the District 21 Probation and Parole, the jail, social services, counseling agencies, Germana, and so many more other community organizations. We are funded by various funding streams, which you will hear a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. This is our blueprint for reentry. Our blueprint is to empower and restore hope to the inmates, to the formerly incarcerated that we refer to as returning citizens, and also to the family members that have been impacted by incarceration. We empower them through pre-release, ready, set, release training, case management services training, and also personal and professional development opportunities. We also provide advisory services, and we restore their hope through mental health counseling, through mentoring, and also through coaching. We work with other community organizations to provide them with opportunities to perform community services, activities, and we also provide training for children. It's a social emotional support group program for children that have been impacted by incarceration. That program is called ECHIPS, and it is equipping children with incarcerated parents. We also have a support group for the adult family members. Now at FailSafe, we have three major programs. One is our Right Road. Second program is our Caring Connections, and then we also have ministry. I will share with you about Caring Connections and the Right Road program, and then I'll turn it over to our leadership team to talk about all the other programs. So, and then I'll come back afterwards and share some other initiatives that we are working in the community. This is our Right Road program, and there are two parts to this program. The Right Road Job Training and Placement Program, which was established in partnership with ATSA, which is the American Traffic Safety Services Association. And this is their second chance employer, and they are this is a tongue twister, road workers safety program. So they take care of all of the road work, the flaggers and the safety programs on the road. I struggle with saying all of that. It's just a mouthful for me. But we've partnered with them on the Right Road Job Training and Placement Program, where we will provide 4 days of life skills, transforming and empowered life skills training. And then on the last day is the day that we provide specialized employer skills training to include the flagger training by an ATSA member company. And then in many occasions, individuals are then placed in a job. We also have our Courage to Change program, which is another program under the Right Road program. Courage to Change is an evidence-based interactive journaling program that challenges the returning citizens to change their behaviors and also their beliefs. And not only does this program addresses their criminogenic risk and need, but it also helps them with establishing goals and specifically employment goals. So we're really excited about that program. And you're going to hear a little more about how we manage through that program through Jamie, our reentry director. Our next program is our Caring Connections. Whoops, I'm sorry. Caring Connections program. And this is our resources and family support outreach program, where our goals here are to prevent generations of incarceration, support the family members, and also to ensure that our returning citizens have resources. We provide them with personal hygiene kits. We provide them with clothing as they are exiting the either jail or prison, not only to give them a fresh start, but also to prepare them for the world of work. We also have a support group for the adult family members that meet on the third Saturday of the month. Please keep in mind on this program, we are looking for a couple to lead that program. We meet on the third Saturday of the month. We prefer to have a couple. On many occasions, we'll have some of the dads or some of the gentlemen come into the program, and it's heavily attended by females. And so we're looking to be able to maintain the guys. So if you're interested in working with us on that program, again, we're looking for a couple. Now, also included in the PGI are two other programs that you don't see here. And before I go here, let me just share a couple things here. This note here that says, thank you for helping us deal with our thoughts. It's from one of our students, a second grade student who had both parents that were incarcerated. And so they were a part of our eChips program. And unfortunately, these little children have to deal with having to deal with unfortunately, the shame and the stressors associated with having an incarcerated family member. And this little fella here belongs to me. As I mentioned earlier, I am the founder of FailSafe-ERA, and I am the founder of FailSafe-ERA as through my walk through the criminal justice system with my son. Some years ago, FailSafe-ERA now has been in operations 11 years. His dad, my son, is now, he passed away this year on the 21st of January. So, of course, our goal is to continue to prevent generations of incarceration. So I just, I keep him there as that reminder that when, we want to prevent these generations of incarceration. Now, what you don't see here and we call it Preventing Generations of Incarceration, PGI, what you don't see here are two other programs that we had to put on hold due to COVID and until we can find someone who's willing to take the lead of those two programs. Those two programs, one is called STROBE. STROBE is Strategies to Build Resiliency, and it's a youth diversion program that promotes positive behaviors, confidence, mindsets that resist criminal activities and thoughts. And that program is something we have been working with the Boys and Girls Club and also with the juvenile court system, who's looking for a diversion program for the youth, because we don't want to see the youth in our adult programs, right? And so we've got to address the youth in our communities as well. The other program that you don't see here is our WIGS program. And WIGS is Women Inspiring Girls, because there's been such an increase in female incarceration. And so WIGS focuses on assisting girls in the enhancement of self-esteem, self-worth, building a positive identity, and then also lessening their influence on criminal activity. It is a group coaching and mentoring program for girls ages 11 to 18. And again, we are looking for someone to lead these two programs and also the support group. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Pastor Phyllis now to talk about the jail ministry program.
Good evening, everyone. I am Pastor Phyllis. I am the co-founder of Restore Through Faith Ministries, and I'm responsible since 2016 to FailSafe to bring the ministry side of the house to our clients. And when I say ministry, I actually mean the spiritual side of the house to our clients. So I'm going to just very briefly, I'm going to start on the right side where it mentions the jail ministry. The jail ministry consists of, right now, about 4 members that go into the jail to provide spiritual development, Bible studies. We're also available on Sundays and also to fill in for other groups that can't make their time frames to go into the jail for sermons and just any type of spiritual guidance that's required. In order to be for you to be eligible to go into the jail, you must first fill out an application with FailSafe that needs to be vetted through Juanita and myself. And then there's also an application that you fill out for the jail. The jail will give us a list of information. It's a booklet that talks about their rules and their regulations. And then they will take your completed application that you've signed along with a copy of your driver's license. And then they will vet that through a process to ensure that you are able to come into the jail. There is one thing, if you want to be a volunteer to go into RRJ, you cannot have a family member that is incarcerated within RRJ, number one. Number two, if you have been a part of RRJ, an inmate there, there is a time frame that you must have been released, and then certain other procedures that you have to make sure that you have adhered to before they will approve you to come in. So all of that, of course, is taken care of when you fill out your application, and then they do their check. However, there is plenty more to do if you are not found qualified or eligible, I should say, not qualified, eligible to go into the RRJ. You see in the middle here where we have a food ministry. We have Saturday evening. Every Saturday evening, we go to Panera Bread and we pick up bread from that day. And depending on how much we bring home, we repack that bread and we disseminate it between a lot of different, whoever is in need of bread. Some of our individuals that we know have come home and have a need. Sometimes we'll go down to the hotel off of Route 1, Jefferson Davis Highway, and we'll make sure that there's a need met there. And if there's anything left over, we will take it over to the homeless shelter. And then we have once a month what we call the Share program, where for $23, we actually buy about $40 to $45 worth of groceries for a family. That is a food program that we are able to provide to returning citizens or individuals that are incarcerated, their family members that we find out about by means of sponsors or individuals that want to donate on a monthly basis for this program. And at the top here, we have the Council of Churches. And what I really like about the mission of the Council of Churches is that we are interested in having not only pastors, but individuals, other leaders within the church that is interested in providing some type of spiritual guidance for those individuals that are returning from being incarcerated. And so we're kind of building this program. I later on, I'll be able to get with our reentry program manager to further develop that program. But right now, what we're trying to attempt to do within the Council of Churches is that when we look at individuals receiving a second chance, we understand that there is a physical side to the second chance where we have to meet the needs. So we provide the food. You hear Juanita talk about, ensuring that um, uh, uh, certain items are provided when they come out. You'll hear later from Jamie all of the other things that are provided for those individuals. But then there's the spiritual side. If there is someone that is in need of that type of guidance, or is interested in growing more, what we do know, what we have found is that when we meet someone within while they're incarcerated, we FailSafe, we form a relationship with them. A lot of times they're aware where we are. They're making us aware the timeframes that they're going to be released. And what we're able to do is establish a time where we can meet with them and bring them into some of the programs that we have. And so we can either do that with the Council of Churches, where we have individuals that are willing to sit and mentor, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. Or sometimes what we have is someone that wants to guide someone through coaching or so forth. So there's a lot of different opportunities for leaders that are coming from within the church, within our communities, where they can also help come in as a volunteer and be a part of this. So if you know of someone within your church that may fit this role, that would like to sit as part of the Council of Churches, then you have our information. I'm pretty sure Juanita is going to give that information, how they will be able to contact FailSafe after this is over. And then the last portion that I have here, I just want to briefly talk about our marriage transition program. Is a program that when we thought of this program, we likened it to individuals that had been military members that had been deployed, where spouses had been separated for sometimes years on end. And when they returned, they found that, the children were used to hearing one voice, one parent giving all of the instructions. You had a spouse that was used to taking on all of the responsibility in the home. And now you find that the other spouse has returned, and you have this of trying to come back together and mend back together as a family. And so we liken this program to individuals returning from being incarcerated, where we wanted to do the same thing. We wanted to bring the tools to the table to help merge that family together and talk about some of the different things. We can sit with couples, and then we can also bring the children in if necessary. So that's what that marriage transition program is all about. I call it the inclusiveness of the whole family if need be. The other thing that we have is what we call our discipleship training. And that's just simply anyone that is looking to, they have already established their relationship in the Christian community. We look to bring them in and really help start talking about purpose, what it is that they would like to do with their life, as far as even ministry or just sharing with others. And so we have a training that we provide to kind of help give them step-by-step instructions on how to do that. And in a lot of that also is just growing and helping them to be more comfortable with who they are, having an established prayer life, having a purpose in life where it's something more than what you're doing with your past, being able to kind of break away from the past. And a lot of times, I'll just be honest with you, based on my own personal testimony, is that you can actually use what you've lost, or what you what has happened in your past, use that for the benefit of helping others to grow. When we talk about that second chance in life, I'm sure a lot of us on here we've been through certain situations in our life where when we were down and someone helped us up, and we learned from those mistakes that we made, and we were able to grow from our mistakes and be able to lead very productive lives. So this is part of what this program is about. And then last is our restoration training. And within Restore Through Faith, what we have is what we call the Restoration Corner, where we actually sit with individuals, because we understand that a lot of times life is so hard. It's not really a pretty picture. We understand that there has been abuse. We understand that there has been addiction. We understand that there has been a lot of different things where someone have kind of like made you think that you didn't have any worth. And so the part of the restoration that comes in is that really looking at yourself, deeply looking at yourself as an individual, and looking at others that you may have ought against, or they have ought against you. And you're interested in being reconciled with that individual. You're interested in being restored to relationships. You're looking to do something other than just standing in one place. What I really love about this program is that for me, I believe the Lord wants to restore us, but he doesn't leave us in that place. He also wants us to thrive. And so in this part of our training, we look for opportunities. We look for a vision plan of how we, after we're restored, how we can now look at how we want to go forth in life. And again, look at some of the opportunities that we have in life and go forth in a different way, but having that vision, and then going step by step with some of the tasks that it takes to go into what I call the thriving. Again, God is a God that doesn't leave us in one place. He's a God that has exceedingly abundantly more opportunities for us out there. And so this is what I look for in the Restoration Corner. What the other thing that I look to when we're really looking at volunteers to come in is that people, when we're talking to one another, the non-judgment. I think it's so important that we remember that people have been beaten down with words where I made a mistake in life, and so when others look at me, I'm filled with guilt. I'm filled with shame for what I've done, for some of the things that I put my family through. And so what I'm always interested when I look for someone to come on the team is people of compassion, people that know how to look at others and just see the potential in others. Knowing how to not only have sympathy, but empathize with them. And so I'm really happy that if there's anyone on this call tonight that truly has an interest in people, not judging people, not wanting to knock others down, but simply just have a heart of compassion. I'm just very interested in meeting you and knowing that you're more than welcome to join the ministry side of the team. So I thank you for attending tonight. And I thank Juanita and the FailSafe team for giving us the opportunity to address you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Phyllis. We will now turn it over to Jamie Malloy, our reentry director.
Right. Good evening, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my presentation screen. A couple quick steps here. As Juanita said, I am the reentry director for FailSafe. I have only been with Juanita and the team for a short time, but I've been very excited to be here. I am a returning citizen myself, and so that's how I got my foot into this entire incredible industry, is by the kindness of other people and being motivated to find an opportunity to give back. And where I have found that opportunity has taken me all over Northern Virginia, and glad to be doing more work in the Fredericksburg area with every week that passes. So in the reentry department, we have opportunities for volunteers to provide case management. And I know case management kind of sounds like a heavy phrase, because case managers oftentimes are people that have been in this industry in terms of school training, in terms of a lot of experience. What we don't want to do is scare anybody off, because if you have the right passion about the belief that people can change, and you are willing to sit down with somebody and kind of go through the nitty-gritty of the barriers that they're facing as an individual based on their arrest record, the particulars of their history and their situation and their past trauma, then you can be an effective case manager without having to have a 4-year degree about it. So don't let the word case manager scare you off. It really is to walk with some of these individuals. A lot of people that we work with might not have developed some skills that they're going to need in order to go through their transition from the jail or the prison into the community smoothly. And that's where case managers really come in. Some people are totally capable of identifying what their needs are and then getting on the computer and maybe Googling for resources or reaching out for help to a variety of different agencies. But unfortunately, with a lot of our clients, they've done some significant time and they might be behind the curve in terms of technology, or they might be behind the curve emotionally in terms of being ready to ask for help. And so when it comes to the one-on-one case management services, as you can see, then we really start with making sure we're understanding that client as an individual person. We have to ask the right questions. And that's where the documentation that we have helps to guide the case managers into making sure that we're asking about all of the relevant information. And then we can start picking apart each need or each barrier as a one-on-one thing. Some types of needs or barriers we're going to be able to provide direct assistance with. And that is something like, if the person does not have the $10 for their ID, okay, well, then we can work on that either through providing that assistance directly through FailSafe, or we can partner with other agencies that already get funding to cover certain things. As you can see, we do provide referrals for some needs, and that's because there's already a well-working entity that provides a service for that need to the entire population. And what we don't want to do is duplicate services identically, but just for people that are incarcerated. So that part is about networking between all of the different resources in the greater area in order to address whatever needs we can address immediately. And then when you get stuck with everything that's left over, unfortunately, there are not really consistent, accessible access to housing and a lot of times employment services and opportunities for people depending on that person's record. Our clients vary so much in terms of what their background check is going to look like, that dealing with some of those needs, housing, employment, and community services, is really going to take a lot of brainstorming, a lot of man hours. That client is going to need to be coached in how to have awkward conversations oftentimes about the reality of their past in order to be able to move forward. We like to say second chances, but we all know that that record kind of tails you. And sometimes it can be something as simple as practicing how to answer questions about your record during an interview. And you practice that question with your case manager over and over and over again until you finally lose that little catch in your throat when you're trying to explain yourself. And something as small as losing that little catch in your throat can make the difference between an employer being ready to give you a chance or not. And so as part of that, sometimes you're not necessarily identifying goals in a written down way. Sometimes you're just asking questions and you're helping them to achieve what they need to be their short-term goals before a client is even stable enough and ready to explore goal setting as a bigger phenomenon. But that's a lifelong skill. And the whole practice of having short-term goals, having long-term goals, examining those to make sure there's a healthy relationship between their short and long-term plans, and then immediately replacing any completed goal with a newer, better, more exciting goal is a huge process to learn, especially for somebody who's been away for a number of years. And a lot of times those goals are going to be times where the client will say, well, what I need is this. And then the case manager is going to have to say, okay, instead of telling you how to do that, talk to me about your process for how you plan to solve this hiccup. And by hearing how their critical thinking is going to be applied to this problem, what we're doing here, instead of giving people the goal that they need to hear or telling them what to do, we're helping them to figure things out on their own so that we create independence instead of codependence. So just like with the jail and eligibility factors, there's going to be some eligibility guidelines around case management as well. This is for safety and stability. We do like to work with people that have their own history, but at the same time, that does sometimes carry their own, dangers or concerns with that. So as you can see, some of these are pretty cut and dry. 20 years or over, that 21 years or over, that just puts us into a little bit safer of a dynamic, especially if we're going to be pairing perhaps older male clients with younger female case managers, then that age difference tends to be less of a barrier. We know that some people that are in internships might not be 21 yet, and if they're part of an intensive school program, we do want to look at that as a case-by-case basis. Volunteers who are in recovery, we're going to ask for 12 months of sobriety. And that's because a person who's achieved that 12 months is going to have different skill set to talk to somebody who's still fresh than somebody who has a little bit shorter time left in on their sobriety. If the volunteer does have a record, it's going to be important that that person is off probation. That way we don't have conflict of interest where perhaps your client has the same probation officer that you have. That is, would just kind of cause some professional concerns for us. And then it's also important in today's COVID age that the volunteers have regular internet access. We do a lot of things over Zoom. It's great to be able to see our clients. A lot of our clients are familiar with using Zoom. And also we communicate all day, every day via email with the whole team. And Google Voice is usually recommended as well, so that you're not giving out your personal phone number to your clients, and you have the ability to put that on do not disturb and to have your downtime where you are away as well. And using the Google Voice or a different number allows people to do that. Typically about 5 hours a week, or for an intern, about 10 hours a week would be the max that we're really asking each volunteer to definitely commit to. Sometimes it wouldn't be that heavy. If you have, say, 5 clients, then not every client is going to need a full hour every week, depending on where they are in their reentry process from start to end. But that gives us the flexibility to be able to meet our clients' ever-changing availability and schedules. One really important thing is that we always want to make sure that we're disclosing if a volunteer is assigned to somebody who they know from their personal life, that they say, hey, I can't take that client on because we actually know each other. And then it is important that people are willing to work with a variety of different types of offenses. That being said, we realize that some areas may be a trigger issue for some people. So if there's a certain type of charge that you are concerned that you might not be able to stay objective during, it's important that that's just communicated clearly so we can avoid accidentally making the client feel any resurgence of that shame that the justice system oftentimes kind of pushes onto people. And here's my contact information for anybody that wants to reach out. Maybe if you don't have questions today, but one pops up in a couple days, or you know somebody who's struggling through their reentry process and they need a helping hand in the right direction, there's all my contact information. And with that, give a second if anybody wants to, it's going to be recorded, so that's fine. And then, yeah, I'll turn it back over to Juanita.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Malloy. We are now going to hear from Mrs. Danielle Kennedy. She's our Director for Development and Marketing. Over to you, Danielle.
Right. Get my screen shared here. All right. Thank you so much. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to learn more about FailSafe this evening. I am my name is Danielle Kennedy. Again, I'm the Director of Development. I recently joined the organization pretty officially a couple months ago. And what a great group of people to work with. So I'm really excited for all of you who are so interested in wanting to get to know us better and maybe volunteer or help in some other way. So thank you so much for taking the time this evening to make that happen. So in talking about development, folks are like, what is development anyway? So development is really tied very much, much so to fundraising. Fundraising is one part of development. Development is really focused on relationship building, and also in a nonprofit organization such as ours can be focused in some other areas as well. It's the department that allows us to do a lot of that financially supports and allows us to do a lot of the great work that all these other folks that have come before me are doing. So I'm very much a supportive role where I'm trying to do as much, get as much funding to come our way, build as many partnerships as possible so we can get goods and services, and just really try to build support for our organization. Some of those ways you see in front of you here. So more traditionally related to fundraising or development, you might see management of donor relationships, sponsorships, grants, different types of fundraising events, and third-party partnerships that allow us to exchange advertising and so forth for maybe services in the community. But also marketing and communications, public relations, and so forth can also fall under the area of development because it's so closely tied to brand in general. So as we talk through the slides, think about what your skill sets are, what your interests may be, and how you may be able to offer some assistance in these areas, because we definitely could use lots of help. We're making lots of changes in these areas, and I know that anything you can offer would be greatly appreciated. A couple major buckets where we could use help falls under the area of writers. So I am handling the major grants at this point. Juanita's handled major grants, but we really need some folks to handle our more simple grants. Don't be scared of that opportunity. If you these are the types of grants at this point that if you maybe haven't even written a grant in the past, these are very simple grants that we can sort of show you the ropes, and it's a great entry point to learn that skill set. Also helping us with corporate requests that could be something as simple as trying to get, you know, how Chick-fil-A, they distribute those sandwich cards at every event in Fredericksburg. So getting that sort of thing, or even writing to Walmart or another organization or Wegmans even for a $500 donation, or perhaps a donation of water bottles for an event. A lot of small requests like that we really could use that sort of help right now because of the size of the organization. With development, I'm the only person right now who is assigned full-time to that. And so everybody kind of helps, but we need to free these other folks to do the operational, to really fulfill the operational roles and work with our clients in the community as much as possible and have them not do those sorts of things. Social media content generation. So Deb manages our social media operations, but you know, for her to have to come up with the content and to write the content is a drag on her as a resource when she really needs to be focusing on some other technical aspects for us. And so we want to bring on some more writers who can help us with that content generation. Graphic designers, oh my goodness. So doesn't everybody want a video editor or videographer? And you know, not everybody has that software. We're really looking for folks who not only can design flyers and logos for events, for FailSafe, but can also video our events, photograph our events, provide all of those things actually for marketing materials as well, and for our social media, so we can get the word out to the community about all the great work that is happening here. Finally, too, you know, I need to clone myself. There's so much work that we can do, and having someone who is in the development assistant role, or even a couple people, would be so incredibly helpful in many ways. And also it's a great entry-level position for someone really wanting to learn about development. More specifically, some of the ways that a person in that role could help would be talking to third parties, as mentioned before, to get supplies and goodies and services for us. So we've talked before, Pastor Phyllis and Jamie both talked about, I believe, how we provide supplies and hygiene items for citizens who are returning to us because they come out with really nothing. And so we try to provide them with what will get them through for a short period of time. So being able to reach out to the community on our behalf and ask for those types of donations, which many are willing to do, we just have to have the bandwidth and the staff to make those phone calls to make that happen. Same thing with things you wouldn't even think about. We have wonderful organizations in the community that provide, for example, IT services, and they help nonprofits at no cost or reduced charges. So setting up those types of relationships too to handle those types of needs for us is great. Goodie bags for golf tournaments. So we hope to have our first golf tournament next year. If we do, we're going to want a goodie bag for our golfers, of course, to make them want to come back. Who doesn't want a big fat goodie bag? So we're going to make sure that they get one. But how you could help is going around and knocking on doors and talking to businesses and making phone calls and asking them if they would donate some of those promotional items for the goodie bags. For a person of that same nature who likes to talk to people, following up calls to our supporters and to our sponsors and engaging them. And folks make promises for support, but we have to make sure to continually engage them and talk with them. And we sure could use some help with that. On-site. So on-site at events, we have supporters that we want to interact with, but again, we can use help in that area too. So if you're someone that really wants to work a registration table or just interact with the crowd and really tell the story of FailSafe, we'd love to have you on the team. If you find yourself a little bit more on the side of, hey, I really like to work with the details and I like to organize and that sort of thing, well, we have room for that too. Event logistics. Anybody who's ever been involved with an event knows that there's like an endless number of details that have to come together to make that event work. We need help there. We need help even with things like distributing flyers, promoting our events in downtown spaces. So, the coffee shops, and if you ever walk down Caroline Street and stopped in all the stores down there, most of them do have bulletin boards that they will, if you ask, they will put a flyer up on their bulletin board on the inside of their store or location. We also need help with correspondence. So probably the most important thing we can do is thank people for donating to us, but it is so hard to get out all of the correspondence. Again, just limited bandwidth. And it doesn't mean you have to actually write a letter. It means that, hey, this is administrative help. You can really help us by churning out these letters that we've already created and help us efficiently thank our supporters or reach out to them. Same thing for grants. So as our grant program ramps up and we write more and more grants, we're going to need more and more help with follow-up regarding that too. And that's just really to ensure that all those details, all the things that we owe to the person, to the group that provide the funding for us, making sure that we follow up appropriately and that we communicate with them as well. We could use help in those areas. I can use that personal assistance. And then, of course, there's always other duties as assigned. So other general donor and sponsor support is always going to be a factor. Believe me, there are myriad of ways you can help us administratively. If you have a talent we haven't mentioned here and you think you could help us, please, let us know, connect with me, and we'll be happy to talk with you. Above all else, we just really need people who are self-starters. We are just, for us, we want people to come in here and just take charge and run with it and get it done, because that removes it from someone else's plate who's doing the core work of the organization and helping these returning citizens. Being collaborative, we collaborate a lot. So just being able to enjoying working with others, being organized, highly accountable, and absolutely timely. But please, more important than anything, motivated and committed to the mission, because every person that works with FailSafe is an ambassador on behalf of the organization, and our interactions in the community, of course, are going to impact how people feel about us and whether or not they want to support us. Other ways you can make a difference are to, I just have to mention this, of course, because fundraising is under development. So if I didn't talk to you about fundraising, I'd really be missing out here. All right, so some things that are really, really simple to do is creating a supply or a fund drive of your own. Kids projects are so easy. Getting kids involved, especially now with COVID, there are ways that they can get involved in helping us at home with some of our events. I can talk to you more about that on the side. Sponsoring an event yourself or having your organization sponsor the event and enjoying all the perks that come with sponsorship, or spread the word yourself using your own network. So follow us on social media and go out there and share our posts and let everybody get to know us. You can also donate funds to support our programs or talk with us regarding a major gift or even sign up to be a monthly donor. If you go out to Amazon Smile or out to our Amazon wish list, we have out there the types of supplies that we need on a daily basis to support the returning citizens. And then finally, if you do work for the federal government, we are part of the Combined Federal Campaign, and you see the number there. And also Rappahannock United Way, also our local, the local support number is listed there as well. All right, and that, if you want to take a picture, if you need my contact information before we go back to Juanita, that's how you get into contact with me. And thank you so much for coming out. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kennedy. Thank you all. And we have one last screen to share some information that I want to share with you. The last thing I wanted to talk about is how we have expanded our efforts by launching a criminal justice reform task force that of community leaders in our areas to develop a model for criminal justice reform. Our model is the ARC model, aiding our returning citizens. And that model focuses on, as you see there, training criminal intent and behavior for social and economic success, breaking the barriers to successful reentry. Some of the barriers: housing, employment, mental health, substance abuse or misuse, prevention, education and prevention. So we're focusing on all of those areas. We're also looking at restorative justice and prevention, bringing restorative justice into the jails and also into the school systems. We are also looking at, unfortunately, well, I'm not going to say unfortunately, but due to several legislations, there's going to be an influx of returning citizens coming back into our communities. Upwards of 14,000 are going to be released by June-July timeframe of 2022. Our district, Planning District 16, is the fourth largest and fastest growing in the Commonwealth. And a great number of those individuals are coming back into our communities. And so we want to make sure that they're being successful, that they have the resources they need to become successful. And so that is what this task force is working on. Again, it is supported by many of the leaders in this community. We are also, we have also in FailSafe partnered with the local NAACP organizations, the Interfaith Actions for Human Rights and Public Defender's Office, to launch a human rights coalition to basically to monitor the overall treatment of the inmates and their living conditions at the Rappahannock Regional Jail. We're working with the jail administration and the jail board, jail authority board, to establish a communication system and also an inmate liaison committee. So that's basically what we're doing in some of our continued efforts, expanded efforts in the community, the Criminal Justice Reform Task Force, and the Human Rights Coalition. And now we are ready to take your questions if you have any. Just unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi, this is Demetria. I want to know what exactly is, I'm sorry, let me get my camera. What exactly is, let's see what happened when you use the iPad. What exactly is, I put it actually in the text, in the,
You did something in the chat.
and it's gone. That area you said, area 16 or whatever, what is that, area 16?
Planning District 16.
Yeah, what does that mean?
That is Stafford. That's the area that we are located in. So Planning District 16 consists of Stafford County, Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, King George, and Caroline County. So those are the areas in Planning District 16 and the surrounding communities that we support.
Okay. And I'd definitely be interested in helping out with mentoring the young ladies. I'd be interested in that.
Wonderful. Are we referring to the WIGS program?
Yes, that's one of the teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the one that we're looking for leadership with as well. We placed it on hold until we can get someone to lead that effort.
Right.
So if you're interested in leadership, please reach out and to me, and we can talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
Juanita, can you hear me, Juanita?
Yes, I can, Rachel.
Okay, so doing like the grants and corporate requests, that's something I'm interested in. I actually have a few things I'm interested in, but I don't need to know how to do that, right? Y'all teach me.
I'm gonna let Danielle speak on the grants.
Hey, that's wonderful, Rachel. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
So the everything's entry level that we're asking volunteers to do at this point. So yeah, absolutely. I would be very excited to show you some stuff. So absolutely reach out to me. And you probably have, I think you have my contact information.
I do. And is that like just getting companies to donate money, or even like individual sponsors, or is that also goods?
It depends. It depends. So we'd have to talk a little bit more and kind of see where your interests are in your past experience, but it can be anything from some of these smaller grants to reaching out to businesses and asking them to donate, 200 pens for a golf tournament to go in a goodie bag, or, hand sanitizer, that kind of thing. Or it could be items that we provide for our returning citizens, the hygiene items and such.
Okay. Yeah, I can do all of that. I like doing stuff like that.
That's great news. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, right, we're gonna have fun. Okay, well, we'll talk
Ma'am.
about that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Samantha.
I'm interested in the case management and resources.
Ooh.
Having to go through the system and everything that I've been through. It's not easy. And finding the loopholes I've been able to find and things like that. So I want, I'm really interested in the case management part.
That's great. I'm looking forward to it, talking to you more. Did you have any specific questions for right now, or just planning to be in touch?
Just really being in touch and getting back with the councils of churches and things like that.
Awesome.
I'm sad I can't do that. I have to be off probation first.
You'll get there.
I know I'm almost there.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions?
Hi, Shelley Tibbs. So my job is a volunteer center. I would like to help by, I guess, reaching out to each individual on your volunteer needs and opportunities so I can enter each one in your organization on Volunteer Prince William's website. I mean, we are located in Manassas, but we can maybe get volunteers to help you in Woodbridge. And we have forms that you can fill out to be more specific on what you're looking for.
You want to speak to that, Danielle?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that a little bit further, Shelley. So you said that your job, what you actually do is you run or work with a volunteer center, and you could take our positions and see if you could feed some volunteers into the pipeline for us.
Exactly, and I can post events that you have. We have over 100 organizations on our website that post their opportunities, and I can get you started by helping enter those for you.
So I'm very interested in talking with you further for sure. Did you happen to capture my email address, or off the screen?
No, I didn't really get it.
It's DEN
DEN
EAL .Kennedy
Kennedy
at FailSafe ERA.
ERA
And just shoot me your information.
.org.
.org. Okay, got it. All right, I'll send you more information.
Okay, thanks so much, Shelley. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. No problem.
And what I'm going to do here is place in the chat a generic email address. So in case you've missed any of the emails,
It's a good idea. I should know that.
you can reach us to FailSafe-ERA@gmail.com. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Wonderful. Well, thank you all again for joining us.
I do have one question. I'm sorry. It took me a second to figure out how to unmute. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Bruce. Ask your
I
question.
have a question for Pastor Brantley.
Okay.
With COVID, what is the status of prison ministry at this point? I'm assuming they're not allowing volunteers into the prison.
Bruce, no, they're not allowing us in. However, we are in constant communication with the jail and with chaplain Jack, who is responsible, and we are being told to start preparing. I am looking for applications of individuals that are willing to go into the jail. So we are definitely gearing up to go back in, but we have not been given the go-ahead yet.
Okay, I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Pastor Phyllis, do you know what the time frame was? You said within, is it a year? And do I have to be off probation?
Rachel, let me look into that. I don't have the information in front of me, the volunteer handbook for the jail. So I have your contact information. I'll go ahead and look for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually just did all of that, and it's 2 years and off probation.
2 years. Oh, off probation. It's killing me. Okay.
Okay, thanks,
there.
Samantha.
You're getting there. Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Oh, can I just insert one thing, Juanita? One of the things I didn't mention, I do want to make very clear that although I am a pastor in the Christian faith, we talk with all individuals, no matter what your faith, even if you don't have a faith, spiritual background, we are interested in everyone. We don't turn anyone away. We work with everyone. And I just want to make sure that that is absolutely clear here. So I just happened to think about that after I got off. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Well, if we do not have any other questions, again, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for taking your time to come out and hear from us. And we're looking forward to having you become a part of our team and working with us as we continue to reform our community and ensuring that these guys and gals are able to come out into our communities and to become successful and productive members. So thank you. You all have a wonderful evening. And remember, if you need our generic email address, FailSafe-ERA@gmail.com, or hopefully you've taken down the email addresses of any of the leaders and you can reach back out if you would like, or if you have further questions that you weren't able to ask tonight. You can send us an email and we will respond. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great
Looking
work.
forward to it.
Have a good evening.
Have a
Great.
good evening.
You
Stay
too.
safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
I know, I had to remove one. Let me see.